Looks like Zelensky finally learned the appropriate way to panhandle. None of this aggressive, in your face stuff. A little gratitude, a little humility. He's begging for a second chance. Just wait till you see the long, lengthy post he put on X, the everything app. I do like that Elon Musk is the delivery system. We'll get to that in just a moment. Plus, JD Vance's a phenomenal interview with Hannity last night, revealing what happened behind the scenes with Zelensky in the Oval Office. Also, do we finally now maybe have some documents regarding Epstein's clients? Pam Bondi thinks so, but we'll explore that. And, your mind's going to absolutely explode when you see the creative, wonderful, unique, fantastic use of social media by your senators, your Democrat senators. They're all literally singing from the same choir book. We'll show you the videos in a moment. We're brought to you by Birch Gold. My name's Larry O'Connor, and I wish you would call me Larry. I like to mix things up for Kevin sometimes. You can call me Larry. Then he hits the button. If I do it differently, he hesitates. It's fun. Keeps him on his toes. Somebody should keep Kevin McMahon on his toes. Hey, you don't go out and buy a life jacket when the boat is already sinking, right? So Birch Gold wants you to know that you don't buy gold when the economy has already collapsed. It's too late. Just like that life jacket. Clearly, others are heeding this advice. Gold hit all-time highs the first part of 2025. It's not too late for you, too. The company you should contact to help you diversify into physical gold is Birch Gold. Birch Gold, they specialize in helping you convert an existing 401k or IRA into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. And there's no money out of pocket for you. This is money you've already got put away. You're just converting it into gold. You've got great reviews for Birch Gold, too. I mean, I love that you listen to my endorsement and you take my word for it, but listen to this 5-star review. Knowledgeable, helpful, non-pressure. I mean, that's what you get with Birch Gold. That's why I've endorsed them for so long. Get a free info kit on gold right now by texting my name, Larry, Larry, to the number 989898. There's no obligation. You just get useful information from this A-plus rated Better Business Bureau. Great company, countless 5-star reviews. Larry to 989898, and let the experts at Birch Gold help you secure your future today with gold. Well, last week on Friday, when we saw that extraordinary scene in the Oval Office at the White House, we knew, I think all of us knew, how this was going to end. It was going to end with Zelensky, president of Ukraine, hat in hand, coming back to the president and admitting what a complete and total F-up he was. And it appears as though that's what we got. I mean, he's been dancing around the issue. He's been defiant. He's been playing footsie with all of Europe, who constantly went out there and said, yeah, we stand with Ukraine as long as we have U.S. backing, which means they don't stand with Ukraine unless we're paying for the shoes. So here it is. The post we've all been waiting for, brought to you by Elon Musk and the X platform. Volodymyr Zelensky. Don't forget that second Y. It's very important. I would like to reiterate Ukraine's commitment to peace. Now, by the way, the last we heard from Zelensky yesterday, he told the LA Times that peace with Russia, or the end of the war with Russia, was a very, very, very long way away. Right? That's yesterday. Today, he wants to reiterate his commitment to peace. None of us want an endless war. Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible to bring lasting peace closer. Isn't this the exact diplomacy that JD Vance was talking about in the Oval Office when Zelensky did his little drama queen act? I think so. Nobody wants peace more than Ukrainians. My team and I stand ready to work under President Trump's strong leadership to get a peace that lasts. We are ready to work fast to end the war, and the first stages could be the release of prisoners and truce in the sky, ban on missiles, long-range drones, bombs on energy and other civilian infrastructure, and truce in the sea immediately if Russia will do the same. Why didn't he say this Friday? It would have been so simple. Or even better, don't say anything, dude, and wait until you're behind closed doors. Then we want to move very fast through all the next stages and to work with the U.S. to agree a strong final deal. It's really funny how he keeps pressing the fact that they want immediacy, that they want to work fast, that they don't want to hesitate. That's like, who does this sound like? Who do you think he's actually trying to communicate with in terms of, oh, we're on the same page? This is Trump. Trump could have written this for him. Trump maybe did write this for him. We do really value how much America has done to help Ukraine maintain its sovereignty and independence. And we remember the moment when things changed, when President Trump provided Ukraine with javelins. We are grateful for this. Remember at the Oval Office meeting on Friday when Trump was saying, Obama gave you sheets. He meant blankets. Obama gave you sheets. I gave you javelins. Don't come here and talk to me about me not understanding what's going on the ground there. But meanwhile, you went and campaigned for Team Obama in Pennsylvania. Our meeting in Washington and the White House on Friday did not go the way it was supposed to be. Whose fault is that, pal? It's regrettable that it happened this way. It is time to make things right. We would like future cooperation and communication to be constructive regarding the agreement on minerals and security. Ukraine is ready to sign it at any time and in any convenient format. We see this agreement as a step forward, greater security and a solid security guarantees, and I truly hope it will work effectively. A couple of things stick out to me about this, and then we'll go to Vice President Vance's appearance on Hannity last night. The first is, it looks like Trump telling him to take a hike on Friday sent Zelensky packing. He got 72 hours to go take the temperature of European leaders. And they all put on a good show. They waved for the camera. They all stood with him, physically stood with him. They all put out posts on X in support of him. But when push came to shove, Zelensky learned a very valuable lesson here over the course of the last 3 days, that ultimately nothing happens there without the United States. Nothing happens there without your help, without the American people's help. And the American people just put Donald Trump in charge of this negotiation. You may not like that. You may like talking to Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and Chris Murphy, of all people, but that ain't what the American people want. And so if you want our money, if you want our support, you need to deal with Donald Trump. And he learned that. He learned that after 3 days. He learned that after trying to cobble together some sort of new European Union that doesn't need America. And they realized, oh, wait, we do need America. It's pretty clear there. And also, by the way, in terms of these security guarantees, first of all, the greatest security guarantee is to engage in business. Did you notice yesterday, underreported story, that in the White House, a CEO for a Taiwanese chip manufacturer appeared with President Trump in the White House announcing a $100 billion agreement to manufacture chips in Arizona, creating 20,000 jobs. Now, why is that important? Obviously, it's great for our economy. It's great for jobs. It's great that we're getting jobs that we were told could never happen in America. No, you have to exploit cheap labor in Asia to be able to build things like this. We can't compete. Well, clearly we can't compete. But what's the other most important thing about this? What country are we talking about here? What country has just cemented a $100 billion, 20,000 plus jobs initiative with the United States of America through a chip manufacturer? What country? Taiwan. Taiwan, who has China on their doorstep right now, who wants to secure a relationship with the United States, who wants to ensure that if any crap goes down over in the Pacific, the U.S. Navy and the United States Marine Corps are at the ready to protect Taiwan. So what did they do? Did they make a scene in the Oval Office? Did they stamp their feet? Did they scream that they wanted security agreements? No. They came and they made a business deal to engage in commerce with us because that ensures a security agreement. 24 hours after that, less than 24 hours, Zelensky's ready for his mineral deal because he now recognizes that if there are boots on the ground in Ukraine, more likely they're going to be European boots, which makes more sense, by the way. They can send their troops. We've got money. We've got weapons, and we have a business deal. Boots on the ground? No. Wingtip shoes from a CEO and upper management vice presidents of sales and manufacturing over the mineral rights? Yeah, those will be the footwear on the ground in Ukraine, and that will give him all the security he wants. The bottom line is, who was happiest when Zelensky threw his temper tantrum? Vladimir Putin. And everybody knows that. But no one on CNN or MSNBC will tell you that. Or if they do, they'll say, Trump gave Putin what he wanted. No. Zelensky gave Putin what he wanted. There's one other thing about this that sticks out to me. Our meeting in Washington, he saved this for the second to last paragraph. Maybe he should have led with this. Our meeting in Washington and the White House on Friday did not go the way it was supposed to be. It is regrettable that it happened this way. That's very passive language, isn't it? It's very removed. It's very third person. The meeting didn't go the way it was supposed to be, and it's regrettable. It's regrettable is not the same as I am sorry. It's regrettable is not the same as I was wrong and I apologize. It didn't go the way it was supposed to be is not the same as boy, did I screw up. Now, this is international diplomacy. These are people behind the scenes negotiating language of public statements like this. And he is a world leader. He is a leader of a nation, at least. And maybe it is difficult for a president of a country to have to humble himself to that level. And maybe this was the agreed upon language. But I know if my children did something wrong and they were supposed to apologize for it, I wouldn't accept language like that, because that's not actually taking ownership and responsibility for what you did wrong and acknowledging what you did wrong. It's passive, it's third party, it's removed from any personal connection, but that's fine. This may be where it is, but that's huge. This is Zelensky caving in to Trump and giving him really what he wants. We'll see what Trump has to say in response. Meanwhile, this comes on the heels of a stellar appearance by Vice President JD Vance on Sean Hannity last night, where they talked about exactly what happened at the Oval Office.
Yeah, great TV. As the president said. Yeah, well, it's funny. So we have a 45-minute press conference, and the president normally does this. I mean, I've seen this now 3 or 4 times with foreign leaders, where he likes to bring the media in, likes to have a conversation, but answer questions with the press. As you know, he's very open with reporters. And what I noticed is that for the first 25, 30 or so minutes, he tried to sort of bend over backwards to be gracious and kind to Zelensky, even when Zelensky was kind of needling him, even when Zelensky was saying things that I thought were untrue. The president just tried to be diplomatic, right? I think that's his natural instinct in that situation. And then when it really went off the rails, of course, is when I asked, or you had a Polish journalist who asked a question, the president answered it, and then I answered it. And then something about my answer just really set Zelensky off. So then he came at me.
So you're blaming yourself.
then I went back at him. Right. And what I tried to do originally was actually try to diffuse the situation a little bit. Because I'm like, we're having this meeting. Obviously, there are 100 television cameras here. Let's try to have this conversation in private. And then the president, as we kept on going back and forth, I tried again to say, well, maybe we should have this conversation in private. And the president was like, nope, actually, I don't want to have it in private anymore. I want to have this actual conversation in public for the American people to see. And I do think that there was just a certain sense of, there was a lack of respect. There was a certain sense of entitlement. And most importantly, look, we can look past all of that stuff, but the president has set a very clear goal for his administration. He wants the killing to stop. And I think that it's very important that President Zelensky and, of course, President Putin, too, they've both got to come to the negotiating table. And that's ultimately where things broke apart. I really don't care what President Zelensky says about me or anybody else, but he showed a clear unwillingness to engage in the peace process that President Trump has said is the policy of the American people and of their president. That's the real breakdown, is I think Zelensky wasn't yet there. And I think, frankly, now still isn't there, but I think he'll get there eventually. He has to.
Yeah. Okay. So now bear in mind that this was about 12, 14 hours before the post that we just read to you from President Zelensky. So as JD Vance communicates on behalf of the White House and really on behalf of the American government to President Zelensky, understand and listen and comprehend, soak in what Vance communicated last night, and then recall what you just read from Zelensky today. And it's pretty remarkable how well he came up to the plate. He stepped up. Here's a little bit more.
My understanding is he tried to get back in, or tried to stay a number of times, and then made numerous calls to come back. Is that true?
I don't know about numerous calls, but they certainly made at least one request to come back in and continue the conversation. The president was like, look, first of all, they were disrespectful. And second of all, what are we even going to talk about? They've shown a clear unwillingness to discuss the peaceful settlement that President Trump is trying to bring to the situation. I think a lot of Americans are sort of, it's useful to step back and ask ourselves, what is the actual plan here? You can't just fund the war forever. The American people won't stand for it. And by the way, Sean, Sean, if you look at European opinion polls, the Europeans aren't going to stand forever for it either. We need to bring this thing to a peaceful settlement. The president was trying to do that. He'll continue to try to do that, but you've got to have two to tango. You've got to have a negotiating partner in the Ukrainians who recognize that, of course, they have their views, and of course, they're not always going to agree with us, but they've got to participate in the conversation. They weren't willing to do that on Friday, so the president said, send them home.
Yeah. Again, if you hear what Vance said last night, and then you look at what Zelensky just said, he addressed all of these issues. Nobody wants a forever war. We want this to end as quickly as possible, right? I mean, it's like it's a completely night and day change. Vance went out last night and said, this is what needs to be said to fix this. And well, now it's been said. A little bit more from Vance last night, but he's good, isn't he? This JD Vance is good.
And look, in some ways, Sean, I get it. I get the frustration. I get the rage. It's their country. Of course, it's not our country, but you've got to accept cooler heads have got to prevail. This thing cannot go on forever. This is the important point. I'd say this to are of course, most importantly, the Americans who are watching, but people all over the world. When you talk to leaders in private, whether they're Ukrainian or European, when you talk to people in private, they will tell you this cannot go on forever. There aren't enough Ukrainian lives, there isn't enough American money, and there isn't enough ammunition to fund this thing indefinitely. The only realistic pathway to bringing this thing to a settlement is President Trump's pathway. We encourage both President Zelensky and President Putin to follow that path.
Okay, now the next question from Hannity is, again, remember, this was last night. The question is, well, so where do we stand here? Is the door still open for Zelensky to sort of reinitiate what needs to happen? Well, again, in light of what we just read to you, that's just happened within the last half hour, where Zelensky basically said, let's go. I'm begging, literally begging to come back. Here was the answer to that question.
Is the door open? President Trump said Friday he can come back if he wants peace. Is that door still open today?
What President Trump has said clearly and consistently is, of course, the door is open so long as Zelensky is willing to seriously talk peace. You can't come into the Oval Office or anywhere else and refuse to even discuss the details of a peace deal. Look, this is not going to make anybody happy. The Russians are going to have to give up stuff. The Ukrainians are going to have to give up stuff. You can't come to the Oval Office and say, give us security guarantees. We won't even engage with you about what we're willing to give up. That's been the Ukrainian posture. When that posture changes, as President Trump said, when they're willing to talk peace, I think President Trump will be the first person to pick up the phone.
All right. Now, bear in mind that tonight, President Trump is going to be delivering a speech to a joint session of Congress. Anybody tells you this is a State of the Union address, just turn the channel, turn them off, click to another stream. Don't know what they're talking about. This is not a State of the Union, but it is a speech to the joint session of Congress. It is not a distinction without a difference, though. It is actually very important, the difference here. Will Trump announce the deal tonight? Right? I mean, whatever's going on behind the scenes right now, will he take the dramatic theatrical opportunity during the speech and say, and I'm happy to announce that just 1 hour ago, we signed this agreement. We've committed, right? That could be cool, right? And in attendance, of course, will be many members of Congress, members of the House of Representatives and the Senate, who shamefully, a year and a half ago, waved Ukrainian flags in that very same chamber when President Zelensky was addressing them. I mean, I don't know where Zelensky ever got the thought that we were going to support him no matter what the cost, no matter how long it took, and no matter what was at stake. Maybe it was Congress who led him down that road, but that's why we have elections. And what about those members of Congress and the Senate who up until Friday had been pretty stalwart supporters of President Zelensky? Well, Hannity wanted to know that.
You make of European leaders, quote, their voices of solidarity this weekend, because it's Lindsey Graham, who's been very supportive of Ukraine in this conflict. I mean, he was livid.
Yes.
And he said, if they want to now defend their own continent, let them go ahead and do it. Good luck to them.
Yeah. And my message to Ukrainians, by the way, to President Zelensky is, when you've lost Lindsey Graham, that means you need to come to the negotiating table and recognize Donald Trump is the only game in town. He's the only person who I think has a meaningful plan to save that country. But Sean, here's the problem with the Europeans. And a lot of these guys are our friends. They're our allies. We, of course, the president has a great relationship with a lot of European heads of state, and so do I, but they need to be realistic. Mm-hmm. And the craziest part about this, Sean, is that sometimes you'll have European heads of state who in public will puff up their chest and say, we're in it with President Zelensky for the next 10 years. And then in private, they'll pick up the phone and say, this can't go on forever. He has to come to the negotiating table. So I honestly don't care what the Europeans say in public. What I care is what they say in private. And what they need to be saying to President Zelensky is, this can't go on forever. The bloodshed, the killing, the economic devastation, it's making everyone worse off. The only pathway to, I think, back to peace and prosperity is what the president is trying to accomplish.
My goodness. You heard what he said, right? Two big messages right there. Number one, hey, Ukraine, when you've lost Lindsey Graham, you got to get back to the drawing board. And number two, he did the thing. He did his own meme. I really don't care, Margaret. Frankly, I don't really care what the Europeans think. None of our, hey, Europeans think this about us? Okay, and I don't really care, Margaret. I mean, that's become his watch cry now. It's sort of the motto of the vice president, and it seems to be effective. All right, well, stay tuned tonight for the joint session of Congress speech, and we'll see if President Trump makes a big announcement about this. We'll see if he accepts the non-apology from Zelensky. We'll see if this actually does move things along. The bottom line is, I think everybody involved, well, now at least are saying that they would like this war to end. Anyone of import, the vast majority of people, and certainly the vast majority of Americans, want the war to end. The question is how you do that. And it looks like perhaps we're a little closer to that now, certainly closer than we were at this time on Friday. One amazing message over the last 24 hours coming from President Trump was a post on Truth Social that reminded the world that Europe, for all their grandstanding and hand-wringing and belly aching over the last 3 days over Ukraine and Russia, Europe has actually been spending more money and giving more money to Russia via purchases of oil and gas than they've given to Ukraine to defend themselves from Russia. Yeah, that's right. And after putting that message out on Truth Social, it even filtered all the way down to one of our favorites, the good old Jake Tapper at CNN, who raised this very issue. He seems shocked by this reality. Watch.
Europeans were actually buying more Russian oil and gas than they were helping Ukraine in terms of the aid. So in some ways, the Europeans are funding both sides in this war.
No, not in some ways, in every legitimate way. Trump's been saying this since 2018. You guys keep buying Russian oil and gas. You're giving him money to pay for those tanks and fund his incursions. And, oh, by the way, let's add to this, Joe Biden stopping the Keystone Pipeline, stopping further exploration and drilling of domestic oil and gas. That rose the price of oil and gas on the international markets, which actually made Putin wealthier so that he could buy more tanks and munitions for his incursions. You know, if we drill and we're energy independent, as we were in January of 2021 before Biden took over, the price of oil and gas on the international market was quite reasonable. Putin became rich, even more rich overnight. His country became overnight rich as soon as Biden instituted his policies that drove the prices up. You can see it at your own gas pump. So that is what paid for all of those tanks. You drive the price of gas and oil down, you make the U.S. energy independent, where we don't need to get any of our oil and gas from international foreign countries, and suddenly Putin has no money left. You wean Europe from buying their gas and oil from Russia, and instead they get their gas and oil from us. Well, here was Donald Trump saying exactly that in 2018 at the United Nations. Pay close attention to the delegation from Germany and their reaction.
Germany will become totally dependent on Russian energy if it does not immediately change course. Here in the Western Hemisphere, we are committed to maintaining our independence from the encroachment of expansionist foreign powers.
Yeah, they were laughing at him. And then later in the year, Trump had a meeting in Brussels with NATO. That's what you're seeing right now. There's Secretary of State at the time, Mike Pompeo, sitting with him, where he raised the fact that, hold on a minute, You'll see what he has to say. Well, let's watch him say it, and then I'll give you my commentary, okay? Yeah, I'm trying to get better at that.
I have to say, I think it's very sad when Germany makes a massive oil and gas deal with Russia, where you're supposed to be guarding against Russia, and Germany goes out and pays billions and billions of dollars a year to Russia. So we're protecting Germany, we're protecting France, we're protecting all of these countries. And then numerous of the countries go out and make a pipeline deal with Russia, where they're paying billions of dollars into the coffers of Russia. So we're supposed to protect you against Russia, but they're paying billions of dollars to Russia. And I think that's very inappropriate. And the former chancellor of Germany is the head of the pipeline company that's supplying the gas. Ultimately, Germany will have almost 70% of their country controlled by Russia with natural gas.
All right, so let's break this down for a minute. So NATO exists to protect, well, at the time, Western Europe, but of course that expanded to include the Baltics and other Eastern European countries, including Poland. And I'm not complaining about that. I'm just saying that it originally existed to protect Western Europe from the Soviet Union. And now it protects even well into Eastern Europe from Russia, right? The whole purpose of NATO is to protect those European countries from Russia. And of course, the United States pays the bulk of the budget for NATO. We pay more for our gross, out of our gross domestic product to fund our military, a huge percentage of which is used for NATO protections of our European allies. And Europe, of course, they don't even meet the threshold of their minimum requirements of percentage of gross domestic product to pay for the military. Why? Well, because they like giving all of their employees, 6 weeks paid vacation, and they like their beautiful museums, and they like their free healthcare. And if you're paying for all that stuff, you don't have enough money to pay for soldiers and tanks and planes. And who cares anyway? Because America will take care of it for us. And all that money that we spend to these countries, these allies, friends of ours, we agreed to help them out. All that money we spend that they're not spending to protect themselves, we're spending it to protect them from Russia, while at the same time they're taking their money and they're buying oil and gas from Russia. So they're giving Russia money while we're spending our money to protect them from Russia. And Russia takes that money and does what? They make tanks and fund an army and missiles that they then point back to Europe, and Europe gets freaked out and scared, and then we come in and, well, you can see how this goes. And in 2018, Russia was like, what the hell's Trump was like, what the hell's going on here? Does anyone see how stupid this is? And unfair it is, and inappropriate it is. And oh, by the way, we've got a lot of gas and oil over here. So if you're going to buy somebody's gas and oil, rather than buying it from the people you're terrified of and who are threatening you, how about you buy it from the people who are protecting you? Oh, by the way. And that was where we were headed with Trump. In fact, we basically lined that up toward the end of Trump's first term, and then Biden came in and blew the whole damn thing up. Now, by the way, I love the tone that Jake Tapper had here. Let's go back to Tapper because, see, you follow the news. You were plugged in on the first Trump administration. You didn't spend all your time obsessed with Russian collusion and that Trump had the election stolen for him from Vladimir Putin and he's really an asset of the Russians and all that. No. You were actually following news and events. Jake Tapper apparently wasn't. Jake Tapper was the former, right? He was focused on Russian collusion. That's all he looked at. He didn't actually see what was going on in the headline. So listen to how shocked he seems to learn that Europe was spending all this money on Russian gas.
That Europeans were actually buying more Russian oil and gas than they were helping Ukraine in terms of the aid. So in some ways, the Europeans are funding both sides in this war.
Yeah. So, Jake, I know that you're a newsman, but maybe you should spend a little bit of time actually reading the news and following current events, because the rest of us already knew all of that. But I'm glad you're back up to speed now. Meanwhile, last night, Anderson Cooper, Jake's colleague, does he not wear ties on television anymore? I mean, it's one thing for me to dress like this. I'm just a streaming commentator in the middle of the day. But come on, Anderson, you're on CNN, primetime show, for God's sake. That's fine. He's Anderson Cooper, for crying out loud. Anderson Cooper had, Congressman Goldman from New York on to talk about his solid. I mean, look, he's wearing a yellow ribbon after all. You know he's got solidarity for Ukraine. Wait, I thought the yellow ribbon was for Israel. All right, let's take a look.
Sadly, I'm not surprised and fully expected it as a child who is basically leading the leader of the free world through petulant insults and personal grievances. First of all, I don't know what Donald Trump expects President Zelensky to thank him for. He certainly should thank President Biden, which he has done over and over again, and he should thank Congress, which he has done over and over again, because we are the only two entities that have actually provided support and funding for Ukraine. Donald Trump instead is calling Zelensky a dictator, is saying that Ukraine started this war, is now stopping offensive cyber security attacks on Russia. What happened to peace through strength, Anderson? I thought here he is saying we're not going to give Ukraine aid, which would show strength, and he's not putting pressure on Russia through the cyber warfare. This is the exact opposite of peace through strength. Instead, what it is it's another extortion of President Zelensky, illegally withholding aid in order to get President Zelensky to agree to a minerals deal, which is back payment for all the aid that President Biden had provided.
And so wait a second, extorting Zelensky, I do like that. As Zelensky is taking hundreds of billions of dollars of our money, we're extorting Zelensky. Who's extorting who here? Congressman Goldman. By the way, when Trump did announce that they were halting aid to Ukraine or putting a freeze on aid to Ukraine last night, it only took 12 hours for Zelensky to say, sorry, sort of. Here's my statement, exactly what you want me to say. So Congressman Goldman, hate to tell you this, but as robust as you were last night on Anderson Cooper, it literally meant nothing. You were ignored. Zelensky actually did thank President Trump as well. He should have, for the Javelin missiles from his first game. The West Coast version of Dan Goldman, by the way, is this guy, Eric Swalwell. Let's see if he's flatulent or not. Also on CNN. Was this yesterday?
If you look around the world, our biggest economic enemy is China. Our biggest geopolitical enemy is Russia. In a matter of 3 years, without losing a single U.S. soldier, we have decimated their military and their economy. It's been the greatest return on investment for any military expenditure ever. And as far as the return on investment for soldiers' lives, it's infinity, because you can't divide zero.
Wow, he's a smart one, isn't he? Okay, so all that spending in Ukraine for munitions for them to continue to fight this war, it's been a great investment for us. We were investing, and it's been a great return on investment. Did he just mention China as our greatest global enemy? I think he does have an intimate understanding of that situation, shall we say, little fang situation. Maybe I'm old-fashioned. Maybe I'm a prude. Maybe I'm naive. Maybe I actually care about humanity. But there's something really ghoulish about a congressman from San Francisco getting on an international network like CNN and boasting, almost giddy, about the fact that we've been able to fund a war and kill a bunch of people, and it hasn't cost us one soldier's life, while the Ukrainian people have suffered enormous losses. The civilian deaths there, the mayhem that every war brings to the table is unspeakable. And this guy's like bragging about it. Look what we did. Look what we accomplished. Well, look at the return on investment. It didn't cost us one life. And of course, I'm grateful that not one American life was expended that we know of for now. But isn't that kind of gross? Isn't that kind of distasteful? It's really something coming from the Democrats as well. There was a time when they actually stood for peace and wanting to stop wars, but I guess everything is cyclical. The bottom line is all those guys were wrong. And the flashback we showed you of Trump back in 2018 predicting what Putin would do if they continue to give him money, well, he was right. And now we're right back where we started, and hopefully we can set things straight again. Hopefully. All right, we were a little jazzed about the potential for the Epstein files to drop last week, as Attorney General Pam Bondi had promised, and then it was a lamentable display, a bit of a dud, worse than a dud, actually. It created sort of a spectacle around the release of information having to do with perpetrators of horrific crimes. And Attorney General Pam Bondi was, pissed off, to say the least, that it appeared the Southern District of New York FBI office had been withholding information from her office for these files. So last night on Fox News, she explained what she did to retaliate against the agency that works for her, let's not forget.
And the FBI handed over a couple hundred pages of documents. But, you know, Sean, I gave them a deadline of Friday at 8 a.m. to get us everything. And a source had told me where the documents were being kept. Southern District of New York, shock. So we got them all by, hopefully all of them, Friday at 8 a.m., thousands of pages of documents. I have the FBI going through them, and Cash is also, now that we have Cash here, it's a game changer, of course. And Cash is going to, Director Patel is going to get us a detailed report as to why the FBI withheld all of those documents.
Okay, I want to be clear, because I think people got frustrated because they were expecting more. You were expecting more, and you didn't find out less than 24 hours before the release. You got a whistleblower that confirmed that there were way more documents that they were supposed to turn over, and then you found out just before that.
Well, sure. And you're looking at these documents going, these aren't all the Epstein files. You know, there were flight logs, there were names and victims' names. And we're going, where's the rest of the stuff? And that's what the FBI had turned over to us. And so a source said, whoa, all this evidence is sitting in the Southern District of New York.
Yeah.
So based on that, I gave them the deadline, Friday at 8, a truckload of evidence arrived. It's now in the possession of the FBI. Cash is going to get me and himself, really, a detailed report as to why all these documents and evidence had been withheld. And, you know, we're going to go through it as fast as we can, but go through it very cautiously to protect all the victims of Epstein, because there are a lot of victims.
Well, you had identified in phase one over 254.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, is that the only thing that would be redacted? Will everything else be made public that you get in your possession?
Yeah, the FBI hasn't had, obviously, they haven't looked at the thousands of pages of documents that they've just received Friday. Yeah. But Cash has a team going through them, and it's always about protecting the victim. But you know what? We believe in transparency, and America has the right to know. The Biden administration sat on these documents. No one did anything with them. And why were they sitting in the Southern District of New York? I want a full report on that. You know, sadly, these people don't believe in transparency, but I think more, unfortunately, I think a lot of them don't believe in honesty. And it's a new day, it's a new administration, and everything's going to come out to the public. The public has a right to know. Americans have a right to know.
And that goes the same with the JFK files,
JFK,
RFK files,
Martin
MLK.
Luther King. Yep, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. What are the things that, and maybe some people don't understand the need to redact. In the case of a victim, that should be pretty obvious to people. What are the other things that maybe you'd have to redact?
Well,
national security?
No, of course, national security, some grand jury information, which is always going to be confidential, but we'll see. Let's look through them as fast as we can, get it out to the American people, because the American people have a right to know, not only on that, but on Kennedy, on Martin Luther King, on all of these cases that the Biden administration has just sat on for all these years. So yeah, it's really, it's not sad. It's infuriating that these people thought that they could sit on this information, but they can't. It's a new day, and we believe in transparency, and it's going to come out. And when we redact things, Sean, what we're going to do is not just pull pages out like they used to do. If something's redacted, you will know the line, and you will know why it's redacted. A victim's name, identifying information of a victim.
So am I the only one screaming back at the screen right now? Because Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, who seems to be awesome, and I like her, and I know people who have worked with her, and she seems like a really good person, but she's sitting there saying it's infuriating that these people thought they could do this. They work for you. Oh, hopefully we'll get all the information now, and then we'll release it. We'll just redact certain things, but I feel like we've really got it now. Just stop talking about it and freaking do it. And I'm not holding my breath. I'm not holding my breath. And it's not like it's anything that's important, right? It's not like this guy is presumed to be some sort of asset from either our intelligence community or a foreign intelligence community that actually exploited these young girls to be able to get dirt on powerful people so that we could leverage them and use them. Oh, you know, that's nothing. That's not anything that we should be suspicious about or conspiracy theorists about or anything. So, you know, when this sort of escapade happens, it doesn't perpetuate our worst suspicions or anything like that. For God's sake, I mean, don't come out here and say anything to us unless you know concrete, you've got it, and now here it is. Oh, it's frustrating. Because forgive me for thinking that even when we get whatever they give us, we're not going to believe that we're getting the truth. Hey, how about this? How about a real investigation into his death? How about investigation into the circumstances that led to his suiciding himself? Oh, God, I said that word, and now it's going to get flagged by freaking YouTube. I hate these algorithms. I apologize. I'm a supporter of this administration, obviously. I want things to get done. Things have gotten done. I don't like this. I don't like the way this is going on and the way this is being handled. I'm as frustrated as you are, and you got to be honest about it. You got to be real about it. And the way this is continuing to roll out for you. I mean, there is one upside about this. Look at this guy. He's going to be the hero. This guy is going to be the new martyr for the cause. This is the head of the FBI in the Southern District of New York. And look at, he's right out of Central Casting. He's got the cheekbones. He's got the haircut. He's got the square jaw. He's got the upper body strength, it appears. This guy's name is Chief James Dennehy. Julie Kelly gives us the lowdown on him. He sent an email to his colleagues a month ago after Trump was sworn in and after Kash Patel was named as the FBI director. He urged resistance to a request by the DOJ for the names of all FBI employees involved in January 6th cases. He's a 22-year veteran of the FBI. He bounced between SDNY and FBI headquarters in Washington, D.C. In the February email, Dennehy compared rank-and-file revolt against Trump DOJ directives to being in a foxhole. He's a former Marine. It sucked, but it worked. He warned it was time for him to dig in to defend the Bureau from the new boss. Today, we find ourselves in the middle of a battle of our own as good people are being walked out of the FBI and others are being targeted because they did their jobs in accordance with the law and FBI policy. On Friday, it appears that he was the person who withheld this information. Pam Bondi asked for his resignation, and he has delivered it. That's why he's going to be the martyr now. He'll be everywhere. He'll have his own show. He'll write a book. He'll do appearances with James Comey. These guys, they're always using this language that they need to protect the institution. They don't swear an oath to protect the institution. They swear an oath to protect the Constitution. And when the institution is running afoul with the Constitution, well, then the Constitution needs to come first. The Constitution says that he works for the Justice Department, who works for the president. And if they order him to do something, he better well damn do it. And he didn't, because he wanted to protect the institution. And also, there's one other thing he's protecting. All of these people who are trying to withhold information about Jeffrey Epstein, ultimately, they're protecting people who exploited young girls for sex. Are you proud of yourself, pal? Are you, I'm sorry, can we look at you again here? It says you're a Marine. You're the chief of the FBI Southern District of New York. You consider yourself a hero because apparently you withheld information about men who exploited little girls for sex. And you're proud of that? You think that this is some virtue? This is some heroic thing that you've done? Cable news will make him a hero. George Stephanopoulos will make him a hero. Here's Jesse Waters on a little bit more about him and his leading of the resistance against Donald Trump there within the FBI.
So who's in charge at the New York FBI field office?
who's withholding Epstein docs from the Attorney General. James Dennehy is running the show there. There he is. This is the guy who emailed his whole staff to dig in after Trump took office. And don't forget that James Comey's daughter is an assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York. She worked on the Epstein and Maxwell cases. She's kind of knee-deep in this. Epstein was facing sex trafficking charges in Lower Manhattan. Where's all that paperwork? The FBI seized computers, surveillance videos, banking records, file cabinets, and photographs from all of Epstein's properties in New Mexico, the Virgin Islands, Palm Beach, and in New York. The Justice Department also gave Epstein a sweetheart non-prosecution deal 17 years ago. Where are those files? The Bureau of Prisons. Where are those files? You remember where Epstein killed himself? I asked Bill Barr about that, why everything seemed to go wrong that night.
When I first heard all the information and all the coincidences here, I was suspicious.
What were the coincidences? I mean, those were a lot of coincidences.
Well, one of the cameras was out.
Right.
He was supposed to have a cellmate. Cellmate left. They didn't replace the cellmate. And the guards who were supposed to check him every half hour didn't check him.
My EMT source said he was on the scene immediately to pull Epstein's body out to the morgue. And when he got to the cell, he saw 7 people there touching Epstein's body and moving stuff around.
All right. So you get the picture. And good job, Jesse Waters there, trying to sort of crystallize all of this. As we continue, and I'm sorry for being frustrated with Pam Bondi, Attorney General. I have no doubt she's doing the best job possible, but this is not about PR. This is not about television appearances. Let's do the work, get the information, and get it out. We've been waiting for years for this information. Years. And no matter what they deliver now, it's going to feel like it's a prop in some way, that it's just for show. And that's unfortunate, because every single time Jeffrey Epstein and all of his co-conspirators on his private plane flew down to his island and walked into a room with a girl who has been sex trafficked, they were breaking the worst, vilest laws that we can ever imagine. These are disgusting, despicable crimes against innocent girls. And sadly, this whole spectacle of getting the list, we want the names, we want the names. I don't want the names for gossip. I want these names because they should be punished. I get frustrated when people in the FBI and the Justice Department don't treat this like a crime. They treat it as like, well, this is classified information and we really can't release it and it wouldn't be fair to the grand jury process. He was arrested for the most despicable crimes against little girls. He apparently killed himself in prison. Then his co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell, she was arrested. She was tried. She was convicted. Who hasn't been arrested ever in any of this? The actual men who exploited these girls personally, who sexually assaulted them. That's who's on this list. I don't know. Maybe I'm naive. Maybe I'm a Pollyanna. Maybe I think that better of our government and our law enforcement. But maybe we should stop parading around with binders in our hands and trying to do Fox News appearances and promising that we're going to release all this information for prurient purposes, and instead treat this like the crime that it is. Maybe we should have some grand juries. Maybe we should start arresting people. Maybe they should actually be facing prison time as well. All right, sorry, I get worked up about that story. I should chill out. I'm not gonna chill out. Not about that. Tonight is the president's speech before a joint session of Congress, and something is remarkable is happening right now on social media. The Democrats in the Senate, well, they've got a message for Donald Trump. Well, they have multiple messages for Donald Trump. No. Actually, I was right the first time. It's just one message, but the way they're delivering it is remarkable. Our friends at Libs of TikTok discovered a weird anomaly this morning. It appears that 2 prominent senators put out the exact same message on social media. Take a look.
When I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
That ain't true. That's what you just heard. Since day one of Donald Trump's presidency, prices are not down. They're up. Inflation is getting worse. Not better. The prices of groceries, gas, housing, eggs.
All right. Well, you get the picture. I don't want to give you a headache by hearing them talking and overlapping, but it's the exact same script. It's kind of the exact same editing sequence with jump cuts. Oh, and look at, you've got images of January 6th and everything. There's profanity, F this, S that. Oh, there's Elon Musk with the chainsaw. It's the exact same video delivered by these two senators, Pocahontas and Chucky Schumer, on their social media accounts in basically the exact same way. That's weird, isn't it? What do they not know that we can see this? Do they not understand that we have the ability of seeing both of your accounts and we can see that you're basically using the exact same scripted strategy for your social media on this thing? And this, I guess, was planned and obviously filmed in their offices and then edited and put together so they could roll it out on the day of the speech today. That's just weird. That's odd. That's bizarre. You know what's even more bizarre? That it wasn't just those two. Libs of TikTok kept looking, kept digging, and now, well, add to it Hakeem Jeffries. He's not even in the Senate. Oh, no, that's Cory Booker. I apologize. It is a senator. Yeah, so there's Cory Booker doing the, yikes, sorry, doing the exact same video, doing the exact same script, with the exact same jump cuts, with the exact same social media style. You know what they say about social media? The best social media content is stuff that's natural and real and unscripted, just raw reality, right? That's what they say about social media content. That's what they say, all right. Well, it's weird, isn't it? How weird is it that 3 senators would come up with the exact same script, with the exact same video, and the exact same presentation on their social media? You know what would be weirder? If 5 of them did it. That's right. You guessed it. 5 of them.
I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
That ain't true. That's what you just heard. Since day one of Donald Trump's presidency, prices.
By the way, I think my favorite part is they were all directed to start standing up and then sit down. Watch. Not all of them did it because Chuck Schumer, I don't think, can sit down that quickly. But look, all the other 4. Okay, here's what we want you to do, Senator. Start by standing up and then sit down. That'll be real and natural. That'll be awesome, okay? Do that. That'll be great, okay? So you got 5 of them. Add to it Mark Kelly and Tim Kaine there from Virginia. Isn't that amazing? So there you go. I mean, that's just awful. It can't get any worse than that, can it? No. Seriously? You're joking. All right, let me see. Oh, it just got worse. 4 times 3 is 12. It's like your worst nightmare of the Brady Bunch.
And I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
That's what you just heard.
Oh, they're so bad. They're awful. What is wrong with these people? Can we watch the stand-up, sit-down again? By the way, the stage direction's my favorite. Watch, they'll all start standing up, and then they'll sit down. And there they go. All right, start by standing up and say shit that ain't true, and then sit down, Senator. Oh, you're so good. Oh, look, there's Mazie Hirono. Mark Warner joined the club. Dick Blumenthal before he dicks you. That's fantastic. They're awful. All right, so there you go. The Dirty Dozen. 12 U.S. senators all using the exact same script, the exact same editing style, the exact same jump cut. It can't possibly... No. Seriously? Where is it? Oh, my God. Pathetic. This is absolutely pathetic. I can't even count that many squares. I went to public school. All right, let's watch it.
When I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
Oh my God, this is beautiful. They literally, they don't have an original thought in their minds. They can't do anything. All of it is pretense. All of it. It's all theater. It's all made for TV bullshit. This is unbelievable. Hold on, I gotta watch the sit down stage direction. Remember, they all start standing up and then they sit down. Here it comes. Oh, look at that, like a drill team. That's beautiful choreography. It really is. Well done. Oh, Tammy Duckworth, she did not do the stage direction for obvious reasons. Apologize there. Oh, that's beautiful. Well, there you go. There's the exciting Democratic Party ready to regain majority status in this country. And this is how they're going to do it, by keeping it real, by communicating with everyday Americans right where they live on their social media app. You got to keep it real for the kids, man. So here, read this script, and we'll have all of you do the exact same script because it's real. And it really puts you in touch with where people are. It's so genuine and honest. Oh, my God. You know how they used to say the medium is the message? That's certainly true in this case. The media, it doesn't matter what they're saying. The way they went about doing this tells us everything you need to know about who they are. And by the way, the contempt they have for you. How stupid do they think you are? This right here. I want this on a shirt. We should sell this. We should sell this as a shirt, Kevin. We'll make a ton. This is right now. This is the Democrat Party 2025. This is all they got. All right. I said the medium is the message, but you know what? Let's give it a minute. Do you want to know what they're actually saying? All right. Here's one of them isolated, at least a portion of it. Here. Let's go.
Look, something we all know, Social Security is one of the best, most popular, most effective programs that the federal government has ever devised, and the American people love it. So what are the Republicans doing? They're trying to slash it. Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, called it a Ponzi scheme. Tell the average American senior citizen who depends on that check, who depend on that money to pay the rent, buy food, pay the mortgage. Tell the average American that this is a Ponzi scheme. Why cut it? Tax breaks for the billionaires club. That's who controls the Republican Party these days, a small group of narrow, greedy billionaires, and all they care about is even paying less taxes, even though they're doing so effing well. We're not going to let it happen.
There you go. Democrat leader Chuck Schumer. Good for him. Let me just tell you something. Other than the reference to Elon Musk, that message from Chuck Schumer and all those other up-teen Democrats could have been exactly the same message that they were delivering to scare you about George W. Bush when he was president, and Newt Gingrich when he was Speaker of the House, and George Herbert Walker Bush, and Ronald Reagan. I mean, it's the same message. It's the same thing. And by the way, by definition, I'll be honest with you. Let me just be clear, because, I know you're not supposed to say such things, but I'll say it. Social Security is a Ponzi scheme. By every definition of the word, it is a Ponzi scheme. And if you are a sitting U.S. senator or a member of the House of Representatives and you deny that it's a Ponzi scheme, you basically have just excluded yourself from any serious conversation about federal programs and the economy. Now, listen, if you want to stand up there and say, yes, it's a Ponzi scheme, but, this is how it has to be because we promised our senior citizens Social Security. We don't have enough money coming in to fund it. That is a problem, but by definition, it's a Ponzi scheme, but we don't want to fix it. It may be a Ponzi scheme, but it's our Ponzi scheme. Go ahead and say that. I'll have more respect for you. But to deny it, to say that there's some sort of false assertion going on here, the facts are the facts, and we know that it's a fact. But I don't even want to address this on the facts or on the actual merits of the argument, because there are no merits to their argument. All you need to know is, this. All you need to know is this is what the Democrats are trying to sell you. This is what the Democrats have for you. This is the product that the Democrats think you're going to be buying now. And this is how they're going to give it to you. I could be wrong, but I don't think it's going to work. I think you're smarter than that. All right. That is just hilarious. That is too good. Ball State alum, $2 super chat. Happy Fat Tuesday to you as well, my friend Marty Grau. Oh, you're a New Orleans dude too, so you do like your Fat Tuesdays. I am. I'm not going to New Orleans, but I'm heading downtown now that I'm back in DC. I'm heading downtown. I'm going to be going to an Irish pub and meeting with a couple of friends and colleagues of mine tonight to enjoy my last day before Ash Wednesday in Lent. So, although I'll be honest I'm always on. I don't know why I say that. I'll be honest. Well, everything I say is honest when I'm on this show. Every Friday in Lent, I like to go to an Irish pub here in my town of Annapolis. We have great Irish pubs in Annapolis. And I don't, of course, have any alcohol on Fridays during Lent. But I do have fish and chips. Because we're better to get your fish and chips during Lent on Friday than at an Irish pub. Although, honestly, I shouldn't do that because the whole point of denying yourself meat and other foods and fasting on Fridays in Lent is that you're not supposed to enjoy the meal that you have, right? It's like having, 2 lobster tails. Well, hey, I'm not eating meat, right? So the fact that I like those fish and chips is probably a problem. I should probably go somewhere that has lousy fish. I should have a fillet of fish, but I actually like fillet of fish sandwiches too. There's no winning for losing when you're Catholic. But yes, happy Fat Tuesday to you as well, my friend. Angela with a $5 super chat. Understand Looney Tunes and Animaniac Democrats plan to disrupt with eggs and noisemakers. Censure if they do. Just shows why MAGA is winning. I agree with that. If they bring props and noisemakers and all that crap, I agree they should actually be punished. That said, I did like the moment when Marjorie Taylor Greene shouted to Biden, say Laken Riley's name. Say her name, because it brought attention, and he, of course, flubbed it. But it brought national attention to Laken Riley that wouldn't have gotten there. So, they might try something like that. I don't think you should be censured if you shout out or something like that. Otherwise, I'd be a hypocrite because I liked when Marjorie Taylor Greene did it. That said, I if they bring props or whatever, I think that should be disallowed. Thank you. I do like Animaniacs. Rosario Cicero with a beautiful microphone for your avatar. $9.99 super chat. When President Trump receives the Nobel Peace Prize, it will restore the integrity of said prize and bring it back from the meaninglessness that it was tainted with when it was handed to Obama. I know Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize before he was even sworn in as president, if I remember right. Although it was really tainted when Yasser Arafat, a literal terrorist, received the Nobel Peace Prize. I think that was the downhill slide for it. But that would be amazing, Rosario. I don't know if the Europeans will do it, but it would be amazing if he does end this war. He definitely deserves consideration. Thank you for the super chat, Rosario. David Saper for a $5 super chat. I wore a suit and tie just to make this donation. So what's your excuse? You know what? That's hilarious. And David, and I don't believe you that you put a suit and tie on. That's fake news. When Zelensky put out his post with that really long, I'm terribly sorry. It reminded me of, the scene in Fish Called Wanda when John Cleese is hanging upside down because Kevin Kline is dangling him out the window and he's giving an unequivocal apology. I love that scene. I love that movie. Very politically incorrect, by the way, which is why it's worth your thing. David, when Zelensky put out that post that's like John Cleese apologizing in Fish Called Wanda, he should have included a picture of himself wearing a suit and tie. That would have been hilarious. That would have been amazing, actually. He has worn a suit and tie before. I've seen pictures of it. Thank you, David, for that. You gave me a good laugh. I appreciate that. Angela again. Thank you, Angela, our angel. $5 super chat. Goldman, former prosecutor, SDNY. Oh, that's right. Congressman Goldman is a former prosecutor with the very same office that is withholding the Epstein documents. Funny, all the corruption in SDNY. Coincidence? Don't believe in it. Investigation forthcoming. I sure hope so. I know I may have pissed off some people in the chat here by being a little hard on our attorney general. I know she's doing a great job, and I know she's better than Merrick Garland. But I sort of get I get triggered on the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. I really do. Thank you, Angela, for that. I appreciate it. Hey, Susan Shellett, €11. Our friends in Europe, who I'm hoping are happy with this turn of events on the war. These are probably my last euros because Big Brother Ursula announced that the EU needs $800 billion to fund her war. We don't want to, but totalitarian states will do what they want to do. Well, we're rooting for you, Susan. The elections certainly are having an impact there. Maybe we need what would a Netherlands exit be? like Brexit. It would be another
Nexit.
Another zit. Huh?
Nexit.
Nexit. Maybe a Dutch zit. Oh, hold on. That didn't sound good at all. Thank you for that, Susan. Salt of the Earth with a $5 super chat. That's a new name, and that's a very pretty drawing there of that fairy or something. Little Lord of the Rings action. I don't even care about what's in the files. I want to see people held accountable for the atrocities. Exactly. Why is all the drama around this about releasing names on files, right? How about release names on indictments? These are young girls whose lives have been shattered. And as we all get worked up in I pray for these girls every day. We got to take a deep breath and recognize that these survivors are still trying to reclaim their lives. They will never be the same after what was done to them. And that's why this is a justice issue, not a press release issue. Anyway, sorry. You got me all worked up again, Salt of the Earth. Well done. Richard Murray with a $10 super chat. You guys are so generous today. We really appreciate your support. Peter Schiff, the gold guy, says that calling Social Security a Ponzi scheme is an insult to Ponzi schemes. Exactly. And Schubert takes issue with that. Elon Musk calls Social Security a Ponzi scheme. How dare he? It is literally, it's the worst part. Private investors go to jail for a very long time when they have schemes like this. But politicians, they win re-election. Thank you, Richard. Well said. All right. And then
one more, Larry.
Yes, I see it. A $20 super chat from Shan Holzer on Rumble. Thank you, Larry. Another outstanding show. Well, thank you. We love our team at Rumble. That's where this show started in its infancy and before we expanded out to all the social media platforms. But our heart will always belong to the wild bunch over there at Rumble. And we appreciate that so much. Shan Holzer on Rumble. Appreciate it, brother or sister. Not sure about that one. But we love doing the show. In fact, we love doing it so much, we're going to do it again tomorrow. Have a good time tonight watching the speech. No doubt we'll have some summaries of it tomorrow. The good, the bad, and the ugly, and whatever craziness ensues. And be safe tonight on your Fat Tuesday. Don't forget, this is not, tomorrow's Ash Wednesday. Lent's about to begin. Today's not supposed to be a day where you go commit all the sins that you're about to repent of. But it's just sort of your last chance to have maybe a little bit of a indulgence, if I could use that word in this context. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back tomorrow. My name's Larry O'Connor. You can call me Larry.